Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Welcome back to our aquaculture production management class. Um, Previous topic we already learned how to select and how to evaluate our broodstock. We cover all the finfish, we cover the crustacean species, shrimp, crab, and also the bivalves. We focus on the oyster species. So at this point, you should actually know how to select and evaluate your broodstock. So continuation from there, today we have breeding techniques where we want to focus on the natural versus artificial induced breeding technique that we could apply in aquaculture. Alright, so here I list the learning outcome from this topic. So I hope you can go through all these six expectation that we want from this topic. All right, so some introduction. So we know that aquaculture is so important in global food security and economic development, but then reproduction management is so important, is so critical phase that this is because this is so important to make sure the consistent supply or consistent production of the seed. All right, so we have two primary methods to produce the seed. First one is of course by natural breeding, and the second one is by induced breeding followed by artificial spawning or artificial breeding. So what we want to focus today is on the induced spawning and manual fertilization for the species that do not spawn naturally in captivity. So we want to focus on the induced breeding technique because most of the time or this is also could be applied for species that do not spawn naturally in captivity. All right. So induced breeding, we need to use hormone to stimulate fish to spawn in what we call a control environment, the environment that we set at certain setting requirement that meet the requirement of the species that we want to produce. And artificial spawning is the manual fertilization of eggs using strip gametes from the brood fish. This is so important because we want to control the reproduction so that we want to maximize the production of the seed. We want to gain the maximum profit that we could obtain from the production, and at the same time we want also to improve their genetic because we know that induced breeding or selective breeding we could enhance, we could improve because of the selection that we made manually. Then we could genetically then the seed that produce is genetically improved seed from this technique. And also it is so important as well of course for the conservation and seed production. But wait, before we go further, I want you to remember about this breeding program. So I know that you are so familiar with all these terms with the pure breeding, outbreeding, selective breeding, cross breeding, and also at the end what we want is the hybrid vigor, where we could from the hybrid, from the cross breeding, the mating between the breed that could produce hybrid. So hybrid that is enhanced in their performance or increase in terms of their performance, we call it hybrid vigor. So this is our ultimate goals actually in the breeding program. But then nevertheless we cannot exclude pure breeding and also outbreeding because they also serve different purposes in the breeding program. They have their own objective. When we want to run pure breeding, often commonly for the seed producer, they want to adopt pure breeding because they want to maintain the specific or similar genetic content composition in that animal because they want to maintain their seed quality. All right, so I hope you could go back to genetic class and check back all these terms so that you got familiar with all these terms if you've forgotten any of this. And also, of course, you have to familiarize yourself with the crossbreeding program. We have seven scheme that you need. I hope you can go and check each of these. What the difference between these, because these are so important in our today's topic to be applied in our today's topic. All right. Okay. So this is our focus for today. We actually want to focus on the induced breeding, but first I present to you the comparison actually between natural versus induced breeding. Of course, in terms of the method, it's so different. Natural breeding, they occurs naturally in the pond or in tanks, but for the induced breeding, of course, it is stimulated by hormone, as I said before, stimulated using hormone, and it is in a controlled environment, and of course the cost is different, depends on the farmers whether they have like specific budget dedicated for this uh, procedure or not. And of course in terms of the efficiency, in terms of the benefit that they could get from induced breeding, because this breeding is so reliable and repeatable, means that you can repeat and keep on getting similar result from the induced breeding. Okay, so what is induced breeding? It is the usage of hormones to stimulate the release of the gametes, also known as hypophysis, and it is facilitates through controlled spawning of sexually matured broodstock and allow for large scale seed production. um, all right, so next is the step by step induced breeding. So when we know that induced breeding could produce the seed could boost the production of the stick at high scale. So that's why people, farmers, want to adopt this technique, because they care about profit. They want profit out of their operation. Okay, so the first step in induced breeding, of course, selection in the broodstock, and as I said before, you already covered this in our last two topic: selection of broodstock for the finfish, for the crustacean, and for the bivalves. So at this point, you should know that when we talk about broodstock selection, you know that they should be in healthy condition. They should be in sexually matured condition, and how we determine that, we know that for the male they have rough fins, milk on pressure, and and for the females they have soft abdomen and rib eggs. And also we have to prepare for the um, conditioning as well. So this is the environment that we need to prepare, or we need to setting for them to induce the breeding. Where in terms of the feeding, we have to provide them with high protein diet, the broodstock. Okay, and the temperature and also water quality management have to be set according to the requirement for different species. They have like different requirement for that, and also the supply of the light. So normally 12 to 16 hours daytime could stimulate the could induce breeding. All right, uh, the next step is for the hormone injection procedure. So how you got the hormone? So we got it from either from as from the donor fish, or we can use synthetic hormone. So we have pituitary extract. So pituitary extract gland extraction, this is from this procedure. This hormone can be obtained but you need to sacrifice the donor fish in order for you to get the hormone. And you can mix it with saline water, filtered, and you can inject it into the broodstock, either fresh or preserved hormone. And we have another option from that. We have HGCG, human chorionic gonadotrophy, and also the synthetic hormone. We have Overprim and also Overtide. All right. So for the hormone injection method, the site of the injection should be inject at the dorsal muscle or caudal peduncle, and they have procedure how to inject this bloodstock. It have to be carried out for differently for the females. It have to receive two doses. The first dose preparatory, what we call preparatory. So we have to give about 2 to 3 milligram per kg. It based on the weight of the female broodstock, and from there you could determine the dose that you need to give to the broodstock, female broodstock. And for the second dose, it should be increased. This is the part of resolving 5 to 8 milligram per kg. This is given after 6 to 8 hours from the first one. So for the male, they receive single dose 2 to 3 milligram per kg. So this is given at the same time as you give the female the second dose for the female broodstock. So you have to synchronize this between injection of the male and injection of the female, because female need to receive two doses, but then male need to receive only one doses. Then you need to synchronize the timing for the second doses of the females should be similar or more or less at the same time as you inject the male. And of course, it should be carried out in sterile environment. We need to be careful of this because we don't want to get any infection from this procedure. All right, so setup. Spawning occurs normally between 6 to 12 hours after the final dose, whether single dose for the male or second dose for the female. It should be occurs 6 to 12 hours, and fertilized egg collected manually or left to hatch in situ. So for the spawning environment, we have to sex specific we have to prepare for this after injection fish. We transfer it to breeding harpas so that it is the mesh enclosed in the pond so that they could carry or capture the seed, or whether we could transfer it into the cement tank or FRP tank. Okay, so you should give gentle water flow, low stress environment. Make sure you do that. So in order for you to make sure it is in the low stress environment, you have to be careful with the water quality and so on. The temperature and also aeration must be supplied at the right requirement, optimum condition for specific species. Okay, next is the artificial fertilization, egg incubation and hatching. So incubation time is between 24 to 48 hours. So this is dependent on the species and also the temperature, because the different species have different temperature. So hatching devices, we collect into McDonald's jar or hatching harpas. And this is the water quality that I said before, that you need to set it at 26 to 30 degrees, and the pH should be 6.5 to 7.5, dissolved oxygen more than 5 milligram per liter. And also you have to prepare for the larvae to be transferred into the nursery tank for rearing. So should be prepared. The post hatch um, how where you want to transfer the larvae, you need to prepare in advance. Make sure you prepare it before the egg is hatched. All right, so this is the process of stripping method where you want to do artificial fertilization by doing the stripping method. So this is normally uh, if you uh, if uh, the broodstock they could spawn by natural, or the second one is induced spawning. So for the induced spawning is what I want to explain here is the stripping method. Means that you manually release the gametes by gently pressing the abdomen of the fish. You can Google, and lots of video will show you how to do this stripping method. So we have dry method where the eggs and meat collected in dry, clean bowl mixed using a feather or soft brush. And activation use we could use clean water added to active sperm and initiate fertilization. And also incubation, fertilized eggs transferred to incubation jars or harpa. This is also explained in the previous slide. Okay, so I repeat again. This is the step in artificial spawning process. The first one is stripping manually, collect the eggs and meat, and we mix it. Fertilize them in dry container by gentle mixing, and we transfer it into water. We do it water activation, where we add water to activate sperm. Here I list the advantages of induced breeding, where we could control and predict spawning, and we could produce high seed production. Even out of the season, we still could produce the seed, and we could adopt selective breeding because we select the broodstock, and also we could get benefit of genetic improvement from the selection of the hybrid vigor or the high quality broodstock that we select. Of course we could improve genetic of the seed from this procedure. And aside from that, we could also benefit from higher survival rate of fry due to the better hatchery management, because as I said or repeated before this, it is occurs in a controlled environment. All right, so the next one is hormonal sex reversal. This is particularly for the monosex population. It is a technique that uses hormone to change the natural sex of fish, or sometimes we do it in prawn. I could give example of udang galah also. Many people adopt this monosex population because of the differences between the size between male and female, and also the benefit of when you adopt monosex population in terms of the density that you could use, and in terms of the reducing the cannibalism of the species and so on. So they want monosex population, and this is occurs during their early development stage, larvae or fry. So this is important for to get the faster growth rates, avoid early maturation, and also we want that the animal is uniform in size. As I said just now, with example of the udangala, they have like large different, especially on the male udangala, they have very large difference between size of the an individual animal. So we have hormone choice, administration method. Either we give it orally, immersion, and injection treatment. So either of that could be done for sex reversal. And yeah, that's all. That's everything for today's topic. So thank you for your attention. So I hope you could understand. You do revision for this topic, and I hope to see you again in the next class. Okay, bye. Have a good day.